Good evening to everybody. My name is Morana Matković. As Ivan said, I'm a curator at the Museum of Contemporary Art. And I want to thank you for staying with us tonight on behalf of the museum. Tonight we have three guests that we'll be talking with. I will start from my right side. Next to me is Nika Petković. Nika Petković holds an MA and BA degree in film studies at the Faculty of Humanities, University of Bologna in Italy. She currently lives and works in Zagreb, and she works also as an artist, photographer, videographer, but also works for 25 FPS, Festival of Experimental Film. And I would just like to say that at the moment in the Museum of Contemporary Art we have an exhibition that Nika and I curated together, the exhibition of an artist Rosa Barba called Meaning Distances, and we actually opened the festival's edition this year with one exhibition. And so we'll talk with Nika during the night. And on my left side is Nika Radić. Another Nika. Not all women in Croatia are named Nika. This was just a coincidence. Nika Radić has an MA in sculpture from the Academy of Fine Arts in Zagreb, where she currently teaches in the sculpture department. And she also holds an MA in art history from University of Vienna. Her artistic practice focuses on researching communication and perception using various media from video and installation to photography and spatial interventions. And at the moment, we also have one exhibition with Nika Radić, but not in the space of the Museum of Contemporary Art, but in Richter Collection. Richter Collection is one house that also belongs to the museum and that works with specific artworks of one architect, and Nika actually created a wonderful dialogue with this collection. So if in case you haven't seen the exhibition, after this you must see the exhibition. And our Spanish guest, Gonzalo, that I had, what? Nika also, okay. Nika, but in Spanish called Gonzalo. Gonzalo studies Spanish language and literature, as I read in your CV, with focus on theory of culture, and also has a degree from theory of culture and creative documentary. He is the director of Festival Intersection. I'm sorry, but I cannot pronounce it right in Spanish. Intersección. Okay. Which is a mix of a festival, but also holds an educational program, as I read in the description of the festival, right? Some kind of seminars, educational, and production also, which will be partly topics of our conversation tonight. And I would like to start with you and to ask you about the festival, let you introduce the festival a bit to the audience. Let's just say, what was the reason why you started the festival?
Sorry. Okay.
Have enough?
Yeah, it's okay. Well, the reason, I don't know.
What was your drive? Like,
I
want the festival.
I think I didn't realize I was starting a festival at that time. Yeah, because it was born like a small like 2 days screenings in a museum, and was very well received by the community of artists and filmmakers in the city. And well, we just get like supports of different diverse institutions. So we started to grow up. It's a small festival and very young. We are this edition, it was the 8th edition, so it's new just yet. But well, I didn't decide to create a festival when we started with the festival, so it was kind of crazy. I don't know. At that time, I was studying, I was making films myself, and I don't know.
But within the festival, you do the whole programming of the festival. You work as a selector of the festival, curator of the festival. You do everything within it, or
no.
I don't know.
No.
Some people wear many hats.
No. I'm the artistic director, but we are a team, and we work with I don't know, maybe 10 people, 2 programmers, well actually 3 programmers and 8 advisors. We look for films like all around the world. We also have like open call. Yeah, open call, like most of the festivals. But we, as we said, we are focused on different way of cinema. So we also are interested in creative, video art or installation or I don't know, formats that maybe are not considered film in themselves, like, I don't know, mixed media or I don't know. So we are looking for, we search for films in festivals. We go to festivals to watch films, and we research the webs, and we have the open call. But we also look for films of installations or our content in museums, in galleries, in networks that works in internet with different, diverse, different places to found like this diverse content.
When you think about your festival, do you think of it also as an exhibition space? Or is just when you were talking about it, you deal with a lot of different topics, different media. So can we say that the festival is kind of an exhibition space also?
Yeah, in a way, actually, our main thing is cinema. We work in cinemas, but we also have museums where we programming our installations. Actually, this year we have four exhibitions. Three in the main museum of the city. I'm very happy of having these collaborators because, for example, this year we made a retrospective to Travis Wilkerson, and Travis works in documentary format, also experimental format, but also installation, because actually the retrospective was for Travis and Erin Wilkerson, his partner. So they work with different formats. So it's really interesting for us to be able to program these focuses of these retrospectives to artists that not only work with cinema. So we have these other possibilities, and also in some sections we have in content films and also installations in the galleries and the museums. So it's kind of also exhibition themselves, like for real.
Do you maybe focus each edition of the festival on a specific theme, or you kind of just make an overview, or you really want to decide that this year deal with specific topics?
Yeah, at the beginning of the festival, it was not competitive. It was only curated.
Sure.
So at the first time, three or four first editions were more not them themselves, but yet with like an idea that maybe cross all the programs and all the pieces. But since 4 years ago, now we are international competition film festival. So we also do curation because this is small, so we can select very accurate the films that we want to show, but we are not thematic. We don't work with any under any line or any. No, we just look for contemporary films that fix with our idea of what we want to do. And actually, maybe people say that they can read this line across the films, but we don't work with the idea of the topic. For me, maybe it's kind of boring.
Too limiting.
Well, in a way, no, because you always try to reach these boundaries of your own limitations. But no, for me it's kind of boring if I focus on something because we want to share films that we loved for international competition. It's the main competition, the international one. So it will be kind of sad for me to leave a lot of films out of the program because they don't fix with the theme.
Nika, can I ask you now? What are your experiences with the festival organization? Are there enough similarities, or can we say that the 25 FPS works in some different angles?
Thank you, first of all, for this screening, and thank you for inviting me to join this conversation. I mean, I have to say that I am one of the youngest members of the festival 25 FPS. I joined the team in the last 2 years or something, so maybe someone else should be talking about its evolution and so on, but I have experience with programming with them, and there are definitely some points in common. We are dealing mostly with experimental cinema hybrids, so films also that are somehow between fiction and documentary, but that tend in a way to expand the limits of the medium. But what is interesting about 25 FPS, that it, when you asked Gonzalo about does he see the festival as an exhibition space or more as a festival in a more conventional way, I think that I mean, all festivals are born in a way with the intention to bring to the audience, let's say, some kind of contemporary or less contemporary oeuvres, and films dealing with, let's say, contemporary production of experimental short films and so on. This is our case. I mean, we show mainly contemporary experimental cinema and short films. But what is interesting, what I wanted to say, that at the beginning the festival was born actually as a television program. So on a Croatian national television at the beginning of the years 2000, there was this group of enthusiasts that actually later founded the festival, but they started with showing experimental Croatian films that actually weren't shown before anywhere else. I mean, there wasn't a festival where they could show their works. So, yeah, but about the points in common, I mean, we don't have our cinema, for example. We don't have even either our exhibition space, but this is maybe also
a good thing.
a good
Maybe
thing.
being this type of nomadic organization actually gives you an edge, makes it more interesting with every edition.
Yes, I mean, more interesting in a way, sometimes even more difficult. But let's say that, yes, I mean, in terms of film programming and film screenings that are shown through these 5 days, the films are always shown in the cinema, in an art house cinema, while this year Rosa Barba's exhibition was, for example, show, and I mean, it's still on show at the Museum of Contemporary Art. So it's interesting how, after years of exploring not only ways of curating experimental short films, but also after years of showing audiovisual performances and works by artists that deal, let's say, with expanded cinema and film installations. Now we have come to the point where we have decided to show Rosa Barba's work with these 4 film installations with 60 millimeters and 35 millimeters films.
This was actually a really nice introduction for a question I have for Nika now. Could you tell us from your perspective as an artist that actually does video as one of her media, when you think about video formats, video artworks, what do you consider the difference between presenting them in galleries and presenting them in cinema spaces? What are your experiences?
Now it does. It's a huge difference. As you have said, I have a background in sculpture, and so space for me is really important. I understood always sculpture as a way of organizing space. And I started doing video. No, that's not true. I started doing video because I was on a residency in New York and I was so bored that I had nothing to do. So I started doing video because I had a friend who had a production studio. But actually, most of my first videos were actually video installations. And they would not work in a cinema at all because they were projections of life-size door on a wall, and you had the feeling that this was a door, and then you could see a space behind. Someone did try once to show it in a cinema, and it's a bit like, why are we looking at a door? So, and I did have other works which do work in the cinema, but actually, I do come from the background that I do think of a gallery space as my space that I work with. And I did struggle quite a bit when some things were shown in cinemas. Then I had to reconsider the whole thing. And sometimes I re-edited things.
This was my next question. Do you need to, when you change this exhibition space, you replace the gallery with the cinema space. Do you need to edit your work?
Yeah, I did, actually. I did a couple of times because I would have this was interesting also in this work here when you have something that's a 2-channel video, which obviously wasn't made for a cinema. It works well in a cinema, but I'm sure it was meant to be shown on 2 different projections. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes you can edit it so that you just don't have 2 screens, you have a new work which just has 1 screen. This is interesting, but it does actually is different from one situation to the next.
When you edit, do you actually think of yourself maybe becoming a curator of your work when you have to edit for a different space?
Editing, I think, in video is when the work actually happens. I think that this is the most creative part in making a video or a film, because you could, with the same material, do completely different things, and I think it's fascinating. And that has something to do with sculpture, because when you model in clay, you can never finish. You have to at some point abandon. And that's what happens with film. You could actually just edit it forever, and at some point it doesn't work.
You just have to say enough.
And well, actually, usually there's a deadline somewhere outside lurking, which is really good, because otherwise, I think without deadlines, I don't really work very well. I don't know how you do that, but I think deadlines help to actually get something done. Yeah. Whatever. I don't know. Otherwise, you just diddle around forever. No.
Gonzalo you also did your own work, your own films, right?
Yes.
So when this switch happened, when you decided to not abandon, but to leave it aside and become actually curator, selector?
Okay, after your questions, I realized that I think I never took a decision in my life. I think this things happens to me, and yeah, I didn't decide to abound cinema. I mean, to create, but yeah, it just happened. I started to program in Barcelona when I was studying this creative documentary degree, and yeah, and I like it. I like the fact of showing or share with people films that I like. I don't know. I just started to invest more time in this, and after when the festival started, it demanded a lot of job during the whole year, because it's a lot. I suppose it's the same for you, that you will have to watch a lot of films, but the bureaucracy is crazy, at least in Spain. So.
But you also started doing production.
Yeah.
Of other.
Yeah, when I
films.
realized that I didn't have my time in my life, I decided to start with another thing, this production company. Yeah, and now we are production. Yeah, we're producing short films and feature films, fiction, documentary, yeah, kind of everything. I try to work with my friends, which are talented, and it's easy to, yeah. The pain is less, or I don't know, or sweeter in a way.
What are your experiences, Nika, with production of video works?
Different. I mean, some bigger projects that require like a more serious bunch of people that have to be paid, then I applied for money at KIC, as we all did, and that's how these things got produced. Smaller things I just did myself. Like the videos that are now in my exhibition, they're relatively simple works. They're just, and that is, for example, something that works in a gallery, but it wouldn't work here. It's just like a 6-minute shot of a forest, and you have someone off telling you stories about forests and the state of them. So this works in a gallery where people are looking at other things, and they have the soundscape and can sometimes look at the image, but nothing happens. I think it would be quite a challenge to put it in front of an audience in a cinema. Yeah, okay,
Like
maybe. You have to show me. I will show you mine.
But that would mean that you became the producer of your own films.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm also the producer of my own collages and everything. It's just like a different medium. And I always have switched mediums, and I think today video cannot be called a new medium any longer.
I agree with you.
Pretty available to most people, wouldn't you say?
Nika, can I move to you with one question regarding the production segment also? What would you say that the experience in Croatia is? With your knowledge regarding the local scene and also working with international artists within the festival, what are the production options in Croatia?
Well, I mean, I would say that the production is pretty, let's say, prolific. I mean, it's been happening in the past years more. I mean, we can see more and more films, short films, documentaries, hybrids, and in this way also experimental films that are produced in...
Does that mean that the Croatian scene is blossoming?
I mean, I don't know if it's blossoming, but I mean, the experimental cinema itself and and especially the short film itself, it has a long tradition. I mean, in Croatia as well as in Yugoslavia, maybe not specifically in the field of only in experimental cinema, but I mean, we have to remember that there was the Zagreb anime. Yes,
GEF also.
The GEF, but also the Zagreb Animation School, which had an important influence on the. I mean, it still has today, and I would say an important influence and an important place when we talk about short film and animation. But yeah, definitely when we talk about the contemporary production. Many festivals that were also born in the past 20 years, and that show so many short films, especially documentaries, features, but also experimental films, testify of this increasing production. So, and many films are being shown also on international festivals abroad. They're awarded. I mean, I don't want to now start naming artists because it wouldn't be so, how can I say, correct. But yeah, I think that also we have to be aware that there's also the Academy of Dramatic Art in Zagreb, as well as the Academy of Fine Arts, who are also bringing up new artists and who are presenting their works today. And yeah, I would say that.
Gonzalo, how would you describe the current scene in Spain? Would you say it's blossoming?
Of the cinema in general, or more experimental, or
Experimental segment. When we talk about production, since the festival is 8 years old or young, do you see this increase in production of experimental films in Spain?
Well, I don't know. Experimental films in Spain are. I mean, we have like a kind of tradition too. Maybe not so long as here in Croatia. I say that because, like 4 years ago, we had like a retrospective of experimental film, Croatian and ex-Yugoslavia experimental films in our festival, and it was crazy. How the tradition. Now I think we are doing very well. I mean, you know, maybe you saw See That by Oliver Lasche, which is from my city actually, and I mean, it won in Cannes, so it's like okay, if it's not blossom, I don't know. But there are like a huge community of filmmakers that started like maybe 10 years ago making films. I'm from Galicia. Maybe you heard about Novo Cinema Galego, like new Galician cinema. And there is like also a bunch of filmmakers that started doing also experimental films, and now they're also making important feature films. So they are getting into the industry, which I think is very important, because it's okay to work like outside, but if you work also inside, and we can take the institutions, that we can have the money and have like better or quality of life, or or actually films themselves, because it's very difficult to survive all the time like working outside, right? Or is my point of view at least. And I don't know if I'm answering your question, or
You have.
More or less.
You have.
Okay.
No, you have answered. No, and I would kind of continue with that question also for Nika, because you're a new professor at the Academy of Fine Arts. So you have this experience of working with, of course, students at the sculpture department, but just think about the academy in general and the students. Do you see this type of increase that is happening, the interest in students to try to make some kind of mixed media, interdisciplinary artworks, think of sculpture more than a space, than just clay in space?
That's a very interesting question, because there is the Academy, just so that you know, the Academy of Fine Arts in Zagreb has several departments, and one used to be animated film and new media, which now split into two, so it's separate animated film and new media. So obviously they would be the first one to do videos. Except that quite a few students on sculpture at the moment are also doing some sort of video, because they're using puppets, so they're using them to do a video, and it's part of an installation, or they're doing 3D modeling, which they turn into a video. And I definitely don't mind that they do whatever. I have the feeling there's a very strange split among the students, that some of them are going bravely into the 19th century, and they want to model figures standing around, and the other ones are making like really very conceptually based work, which is actually good and would definitely be considered contemporary art. So it's kind of strange. We have both. And I think it's also good to have both. And I think also the Academy in Zagreb in some ways can be looked as rather traditional, but it's also good. I lived abroad a lot, and then I think that this is one place where people actually can model if they want to. So, but they do use video even on sculpture. I'm not so sure about painters, though.
I'm not sure about the painters also, but I think the sculptures will be more interested in this type of mixed media approach. And for the end, I think that we could wrap it up, because we don't want to bore you. I think we've been here for more than a half an hour, and after films, maybe you need to take a little break, some rest. But I would close maybe with Nika, if you want to. Of course, if anybody has questions, we are more than glad to answer. But I would just like to ask, what are future plans of 25 FPS?
Well, I mean, definitely our
You're on tour at the moment.
Yes, one of the things we also do is after the festival edition in Zagreb, we show a segment of our program in other towns in Croatia. But besides that, yes, I mean, I really hope that we will continue bringing contemporary experimental film productions and works by new but also already acclaimed artists at our festival. But I mean, what is our plan and what would be our big wish is also to continue doing exhibitions in contemporary art spaces, galleries, and in this way we would have the chance to continue exploring all these boundaries that shouldn't be anymore in these days considered boundaries of the medium, but actually trying to expand its possibilities and trying, and also what is actually one of our many wishes is to continue engaging with, of course, younger audiences, with people who are only studying cinema and who are maybe still a bit, I mean, completely normally lost between finding
the right amount or something.
Yes, amount between cell phones and I mean, films being shown on so many platforms, on so many streaming services, and this would be our, let's say, one of our thoughts for the future.
What is your plan for the tour? Next stop? Because the exhibition and the program that you created, the video exhibition, actually traveled a lot for the past 2 years. Zagreb is just one stop.
Yeah, we've been in Latin America, in Uruguay, Argentina, Colombia, and Costa Rica. And this year we're going also to Korea and Japan. Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
It's nice to be me, yeah.
Well, can I just ask if anybody has any questions for our guests? Or we should continue the questioning with a drink outside? Okay.
I think they are waiting for the beer, like
yeah,
since
you think that?
35 minutes ago, I think.
I kind of can't see everybody's right because of the lights, but okay, thank you everybody for listening us. Thank you for the lights. I hope you enjoyed our little talk, and in case, of course, if you have any questions, all the guests are here. Join us outside and we can talk even more, a bit more. What? Yeah, the microphone also wants to leave, so people, it's time to call it a day. Thank you all.